Raji, today we are moving on with the fourth chapter, elicitation method we yesterday studied. Today we are talking about elicitation techniques. Naturally, as you might have observed yesterday that these things we are talking about now, they are kind of more interesting, and you know about them somehow, because some of these things you keep practicing here or there. And moreover, if you are already a PMP, then probably most of these tools you have already studied and in your PMP prep, in your PMP exam prep. So the first technique is brainstorming, and brainstorming, as you might know, is a creativity tool. You try to let people think out of the box. So you must understand what the problem is. Basically, the problem with human beings are that we are tightly bound to the knowledge or logic we have already established, and we want to follow that logic and that knowledge or wisdom, whatever has been gained so far, and we believe it to be true, and we cannot accommodate, we cannot think of any other way of doing the things. Whereas this knowledge was also created through some surprise, through something which happened, and ultimately once that thing happened, like apple falling on the head of that scientist, so he was forced to think that there is something which is letting the apple fall, and that's how he established the logic for that, and that logic was then taught to all of us, and we strongly believe that there is gravity just because of that logic. So for the first time there was no logic. So creativity is try to think out of logic, illogically thinking, and trying to think out of the box, trying to imagine things which otherwise could not happen, which could not possibly happen. So why are we doing that? We are trying to bring some kind of surprises to ourselves, as if we learn out of them, and if there is a possibility of a new way of doing something, that we can invent. Or in other words, I can say we can discover, because we do not invent anything. We always discover things, because God has already placed all the secrets in front of us. They are hidden somewhere and we just discover them. If you say man has made the but plane is not purely an invention of human being. It is a discovery by the human being by looking at the birds and other phenomena around him. So basically we emulate, we create the animation of what we see around us. So that is the secret hidden around us. So what I am trying to say is, brainstorming is trying to find the secret around you, and maybe you can find a new secret and establish a new logic, and that is thinking creatively, thinking out of the box. The relationship between creativity and innovation is the mere act of thinking out of the box is called creativity. And once you come up with the idea, putting that innovative idea, that creative idea to use, if you try to apply that idea, that is innovation. So brainstorming is a technique used to prompt innovation and creativity by asking groups to consider novel or different solutions. Meaning what? We are trying to ask them to think out of the box. We say, what else? What else come to your mind? Anything else? So we are trying to exhaust their possibilities of logic. So when there is no more logic left, then they are forced to think beyond they can otherwise think. So the output generated from the group is often greater than the output from the same group when solutions are recorded individually. Now why? Because you might have observed that when we are sitting in a group and I say something, someone will be prompted from what I said and he would come up with something else, and then someone else will be prompted. That's how we discuss. So if I come up with a creative idea that may prompt further innovation or creativity into another person, and that's how we can take it to the next level. It was also discussed in section 3.3.1.1, and that was the brainstorming. Document analysis, again, a very potent method, and we always keep using it. We normally, when we have to collect the data and analyze the data, we get it from the documents. Document analysis in an elicitation technique used to analyze existing documentation and identify information relevant to the requirement. You open up old files and you try to dig out information out of that. That is elicitation from the documentation. Business analysts can start their analysis work with this technique to gain some understanding of the environment and situation prior to engaging directly with the stakeholder. So, for example, if there is a SOP in an organization and I want to, get some information out of the stakeholders from that organization, first I must understand what is the SOP, what is the policy and procedures they are following, and if I have read that and I have understood that, then probably I can talk more sense with those people and I can better analyze the situation. Document analysis provides the following benefits. Number one, information received from individuals is subjective. Subjective means they are telling us stories, long stories. I ask him something, how are you? And he says, today I am not very well, but yesterday I was okay, and this and that, and I took a medicine the day before, and so on and so forth. He has a subjective, never-ending talk. Whereas documented information tends to be more objective, specific. While it is always good to have subjective viewpoint, because subjective is qualitative. Subjective is qualitative. It has quality. We can say that you can feel the subjective talk. You can flow along the thought process of that person subjectively, and you can feel the pain in his voice or the happiness in his voice. This is the quality. This is the subjectiveness of that viewpoint. So I can be more empathetic. Subjective viewpoints of a number of different individuals on the same topic. It is best to have the objective factual information first to use as a baseline to understand the subjectivity variations. So if I have the data available first and then I ask further queries and further sentiments from those people, then I will have a better way of collecting all this information, eliciting all this information, because I would have data and I can ask right questions which they may qualitatively respond in a subjective manner. Documents may contain information that no one individual has. This is found in older description of the system or business process, source material for regulations and other mandatory procedures. So maybe every individual knows a part of the information, but what I am getting from my objective data from the documentation is compiled into a table, into a form, or the data is written down somewhere. So I can have a consolidated data available to me. Individuals may not have totally accurate view of the information, whereas written documentation has been researched and is more accurate. Anything which was written, it must have been checked by someone, it must have been put into order. But if somebody is telling me a story, that story might not be very accurate. It might just be his opinion. But the data which has been recorded in history, in documentation, that must have had some accuracy level. Written documentation provides more background and explanation than an individual explaining the same material, because the individual may assume that the business analyst already knows much of the information, or that common knowledge has already been documented elsewhere. You see, this is exactly what we do when we are talking to individuals. A very common thing, we say, you know. What does that mean? It means that I will start from where you already know, and I assume that you already know this much, and that's why I am going ahead with that. But documents don't do that with you. Documents tell you the whole story right from the beginning. So written document is better from that perspective. Up-to-date documentation can be a good source of information regarding the structure and capabilities of any product, ranging from physical structures like buildings to device with embedded systems like cell phones, pacemakers and thermostats, or even software like claims payment systems, etc. A suite of up-to-date regression tests may serve the same purpose for obtaining accurate information about software and embedded system functionality. So, like you might be aware of the configuration management. If the documents have been properly configured and they are updated, okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir, I can hear you now.
Okay. So, what did you want to say?
Yeah, I just lost your voice, so that's why I was saying hello.
Exactly.
So I was with you. I was
Yeah, the voice was
with you
lost.
up to date documentation.
Yeah, exactly. I was I could see that their voice was lost and I tried it back on. Anyways, up-to-date document is just the latest configured version of the documentation, and naturally whatever up-to-date document is available, that would give me the latest information. The downside of that document analysis method is that the documentation may not be available or the existing documentation may be out of date, thereby providing erroneous information. Even when documentation is maintained and considered current, there is a risk that previous system constraints or limitations will be documented as current business practices. It may be difficult for the business analyst to decipher these limitations without having a current conversation with a business stakeholder. Now, you see, there are some things, some good points and some bad points about the document, and naturally, we have to take advantage of both the methods, and the disadvantages of both the methods should be weeded out. So naturally, document might be old, it might be based on older data, it might be, the basis of that document might be erroneous or something like that. So we need to confirm it. Rely on the document, but do confirm that document from the people, from the stakeholder. And once you are talking and interviewing the stakeholder, that is the time when you can get an assurance that how accurate the document you are referring to is. Facilitated workshops. Okay, I hope you already understand what kind of elicitation method will you try to use with different kind of people. If you have got a very small audience, say you have only 4 or 5 stakeholders to elicit information out of, then probably you will go for an interview. If the person you are interviewing knows nothing, or he knows not all the information, and he refers you to some other team of people working under him, then probably in this interview you should call that focus group for the next time. That is called focus group. In focus group, those people who are specialized subject matter experts in their own areas, they are called because the top level executive did not know all the details by himself. If he knows it, interview would have sufficed. But if he does not know all the details by himself and he needs to refer to these people, then this focus group is called. But the focus group has got its own disadvantages. Naturally, we will get more information, more accurate information, more technical information from these people in focus group. But there is a tendency that when they are sitting right in front of their boss, they will not open up. They will not give us the true picture or full picture. Similarly, whether the boss is influencing them or not, but they automatically get influenced by his presence. That is one of the things which forces us to use the Delphi method. Anyways, um, I have been in a situation where I was creating some SOPs for different organizations, and I called on their top level executives and interviewed them all. Some of them knew everything, some of them did not know everything, and they said that we will have to consult with our technical experts. I said, okay, why don't you call your technical experts next time, and we can have a meeting together. And that is called a focus group. But interview had its own advantage, because in interview I could ask very personal questions. He could be very frank with me. We can laugh about it. But in front of his subordinates, nobody will be that frank. Everybody will be reserved. Anyways, if the people you want to refer to are even more like the whole organization, all the employees of the organization are to be consulted, how do you do that? Here we come up with the facilitated workshop. Facilitated workshop is a method in which, if not whole, then most of the people are called in a workshop, and that workshop is facilitated by the consultant or the analyst. This person uh, presents the problem as it was given to him, and asks them and tells them first his understanding of the thing, and then asks them if they can give any input. And then he creates certain situations which will trigger these people to come up with new ideas. They can even write their points and give it to you. They can raise their hands and speak it loud. They can, there are various methods by which they can email you. They can send you their data by post or whatever, depending upon the time available with you. So facilitated workshop, also known as a requirements workshop, are focused sessions that bring key cross-functional stakeholders together to define product requirements. Workshops are considered a primary technique for quickly defining cross-functional requirements and reconciling stakeholder differences. Due to their interactive group nature, well-facilitated sessions can build trust, foster relationships, and improve communication among the participants, which can lead to increased stakeholder consensus. So, you see, there are again जी जनाब, again I lost my voice.
Now I can hear you.
I think there is something wrong with the network. It is breaking up today time and again. Okay, so I was talking about the facilitated workshop. So
Yes,
I
sir.
said there are certain advantages in facilitated workshop and there are certain disadvantages also. The basic advantage in facilitated workshop is that there is a larger gathering of people and more ideas can be elicited from them. But naturally, you have to be very tactful in getting that information. Again, in large groups, there is a disadvantage that people tend to hide in the crowd. They don't want to speak up. But naturally, you have so many people, so we can count on it that some of the people will definitely give some input, and this input is even better than the focus group or interview. But still, we must use certain techniques by which we can somehow force those people who do not want to speak and do want to hide in the crowd to speak up and give their point of view. There is a synergy when ideas from various people help to stimulate new thoughts from others. When we are discussing something in front of so many people, then one idea will generate another idea and people will keep coming up. So you have to make them easy, comfortable. If they are not tense, then they will open up and they will start discussions openly. Disagreements among business units or individual stakeholders are resolved as they come during elicitation, saving time later. So here, if there is a disagreement, the other person will speak out immediately, and then that matter can be discussed right there and resolved. Issues are discovered and resolved more quickly than in individual sessions. Obtaining agreement on issues is easier when the group is assembled together. Engagement is higher when stakeholders are urged to participate. There is a perception that no one stakeholder will have a higher influence on the solution because everyone is in the meeting together. So we can't say that somebody met separately with you and he influenced you somehow. So because everybody is sitting right in front of you, so all the influences are open to everyone. The facilitated workshop may also include the solution team or its lead. The benefits of cross-functional facilitated workshop are as follows. There is a team building aspect that unites the group. There is a better chance for a binding agreement between the solution team and the product stakeholders. People who are going to be developing the solution are also sitting right there where the stakeholders are sitting, and they would have more confidence if they can see and meet those people and judge them by their knowledge. The solution team is more committed when they are able to meet directly with the stakeholders for whom they are building the solution. The solution team or its lead learns the context of the problem, solution and decision, which provide a more informal basis for developing a solution. The requirements resulting from a combined meeting are more likely to be implemented because the work was developed collaboratively. There is a buy-in from both sides. That's why there is more likelihood that this will get done. Now, for this kind of a workshop, how do you prepare for that? Workshops are expensive. Naturally, you have to hire a hall. You have to, arrange for all these people to come there, and naturally, there might be other arrangements to be made. So workshops are expensive to run when considering the number of individuals involved and the time commitments required for each attendee to participate. However, when run efficiently, workshop can produce a lot of results in a short period of time. In order to ensure the workshop gets off to a strong start, business analysts should prepare, collaborate with the project team and stakeholder to agree on the agenda topics ahead of time. Just like we do in a meeting, we create a agenda for the meeting. Similarly, for this workshop, there must be an agenda, there must be a schedule, there must be a program, how we intend going about it. Produce an agenda and distribute it with the workshop invitation. If it cannot be sent with the invite, provide at least 2 business days notice. So this is established that whatever you want to discuss in that workshop, that must have been intimated to all the participants or all the invitees beforehand. I have seen that normally this agenda is normally lying on the chair when you enter the workshop. Then your seats would be having this program of the day lying there. But you might also have observed that there are certain invitations which come with the agenda or the program for the day. So if I already know how the workshop is going to happen, then I would be prepared accordingly. When the workshop will involve decision-making activities, ensure the team has already determined their decision-making process prior to the start of the workshop. This information should have been agreed upon during business analysis planning. However, in an event, it needs to be agreed upon before the start of the workshop. So, how would you make the decisions? Team must agree. Like, we can say we will decide by voting. The highest votes will win. There are many ways, many methods for voting. There could be a majority rule. There could be, many other rules like that. When any form of technology is being used to run the meeting organizer needs to set up and start up all technical components prior to the start of the meeting. This may require that the organizer book the conference hall 30 minutes to an hour prior to the start of the session. So all technology is up and running prior to the start of the workshop. Examples of technology considerations are remote attendees dialing into a teleconference number, LCD projectors or web conferencing being used to display a presentation or notes, software used to obtain documents that will be discussed, reviewed, etc. Now this looks like, just normal. We do that and this should be done. We all agree, but we don't realize when you are yourself organizing a meeting or a workshop like that, probably we reach there at the last moment and then we see the mic is not working and probably the material has not arrived and the meeting has started and the material is coming after 3 hours. So if you can, demonstrate everything beforehand, check everything beforehand, then there will be no confusion and no wastage of time and especially no bad impressions. So this is a very good way of doing it, that we should prepare beforehand for any contingencies. Sufficient workshop materials are planned for and obtained prior to the start of the session. Stopping a workshop to retrieve materials loses the momentum. As I said before, material has not arrived or the material is not sufficient. You had ordered less. Always order at least 10% more material. At least 10% more material to cater for any extra people, because there is no problem if there is extra material lying there and it is not being used, rather than half the people have the material and half the people do not, and everybody is in a complete total confusion what is happening and how we are going to go about it. Invite the participants by roles. As we have discussed earlier, we do not want to call them by name, call them by their roles. Quality manager of that organization, project manager of that project. That will ensure that if the requisite quality manager or the project manager is not available, whomsoever is acting on his behalf would automatically be invited. You have invited the role. When conducting a workshop or other form of elicitation within a group setting, invite attendees by role to avoid two persistent problems that often occur in elicitation sessions. Interlopers are those who are not invited or do not need to attend the meeting. Lack of attendance by those who are needed for the meeting but do not show. So what we are doing, we are avoiding uninvited guests and we are also ensuring that there is no lack of attendance. Instead of broadcast invitation to everyone having anything to do with the project, the business analyst should direct the invitation only to the roles required to achieve the workshop objective. Inviting by role establishes expectation for participation and encourages attendance. Participants are more apt to prepare and provide the information needed from the perspective of their role, and are less likely to miss the meeting because they now have a specific responsibility to play in the meeting. They have a role to play in the meeting. What are you going to contribute in the meeting? How to run the workshop? That some tips for that. Introduce participants or have the participants introduce themselves by role. This is very common. We always do that. So if there is a small group and you know all of them, you can introduce each one of them to the audience, all of the participants, and then we can proceed ahead. Or if you do not know all of the people or you think that they can explain better about themselves, then ask them to introduce themselves in brief. Keep cross discussions and personal topics to a minimum to generate the most effective information. There should not be unnecessary discussion. There should be only one discussion going on the table. We should not have two people discussing something else in one corner and two people discussing something else on another corner. That is not permitted. In a conference or a meeting, we always want the attention on one topic and only one discussion is going on at any one time. Start the meeting on time to send a message that everyone's time is important. If I start a meeting late, maybe I say, okay, people have not come, so why don't we wait for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes? What will happen is, the people who have already come on time, they will feel unimportant. They will feel the people who are coming late are more important. That's why we are waiting for them. So start on time, no matter if somebody has come or not. To maintain momentum and focus, do not stop the meeting for latecomers, but instead brief them during the break. Consider assigning separate roles, including a facilitator, a scribe, and a workshop owner to ensure a smoother session. It is a good practice to write directly on a whiteboard or some form of electronic medium so that the attendees can review the notes during the workshop. This reduces the need to conduct multiple reviews of the workshop results. So first point first, when you assign roles, for example, I assign you the role of keeping the time. You are my timekeeper. So you will ensure that anyone who is speaking, he does not cross his limit, his time limit. Maybe he had to speak for 5 minutes, so you have to warn him as a timekeeper that he is taking extra time. So that way you are busy in your role, and that person is conscious that somebody is noting the time. Then there could be a scribe. Who is a scribe? Do you know? Yes, Adil?
Sir, can you hear me?
Ji. Do you know who is a scribe?
Yes, no, sir. I don't know. Scribe.
Yes.
Can you spell the word?
SCRIBE. It is third point. Third point, consider assigning separate roles, including a facilitator, scribe, and a workshop owner. What is a scribe? Okay,
I
scribe.
don't know, sir. What is scribe?
Scribe is the role the person you have assigned to take the notes. He takes the notes of all the meetings. And there must be someone assigned.
Okay.
I have seen this many times that, everybody thinks that everybody is making notes. But nobody actually is making notes. They are drawing cartoons on their notebooks. And nobody is noting all the points which have been discussed. And at the end of the meeting, when say, well, you were taking notes, where are your notes? He says, well, I just took 2 points. I did not note all of it. Because you did not make someone responsible. Make someone responsible for taking the notes. And then those notes could be translated. There should be a facilitator of the workshop. Normally the person who conducts the workshop, he is a facilitator, and he is only responsible for the role of a secretary, like a stage secretary. He just invites the next person in order to speak on his topic or whatever. So whatever is the program you have issued earlier, exactly according to that, the facilitator will conduct the show. There could be a workshop owner, maybe the chairman or the president of the workshop, who will be the person from whom you will seek advice or permission to start or finish or whatever, and he would be a senior person. So there could be many other roles. So if you have described these roles, the confusion will be reduced and everyone will be focused. The second point given in this is, uh, if it is possible, because we have technology now, so if it is possible that we can make the notes during the meeting, whoever is the scribe, he is making the notes on his computer, and it is also being shown on the big screen, right? Or he maybe writing directly on a whiteboard, so everybody can see what are the points are being discussed, what are the discussion points, and what are the comments. And They would agree or disagree with it, and ultimately if scribe has written something wrong, that would be deleted right there on the suggestion of the people attending it. They would say that we did not mean that, we did not discuss that, why have you written that? And only the relevant point will be left. Why is it important? Because then we don't have to run after each participant and ask for his kind of approval, whether he agrees with the minutes or not. So this reduces a lot of time. If we can somehow use this new technology, maybe computers or some other tools or whiteboards or whatever, so we can make the things go functional, go faster. It is challenging to lead a session while controlling the meeting and participants, because participants will like to take the meeting to a divergent level. If there is a point, it is your time to speak for 5 minutes, and somebody takes a cue from what you are talking and starts speaking in between, and a new discussion starts. People are very fond of doing that. So we must make it very specific that questions will not be addressed while a person is talking. Maybe after that person has finished his talk, you can give a 1 minute or 2 minute for everybody to come up with any questions or comments on that, but do not give more time at that point, because then the discussion will start and you will be discussing that for next 30 minutes and you will reach no conclusion. So if there is any urgent comment, that can be made there. Otherwise, at the end of the meeting, at the end of the session, we can have a question answer session. Facilitators help the business analyst and the meeting attendees to achieve the meeting objectives. The scribes help to ensure that the results are documented, and the workshop owner makes the business decisions. So workshop owner is the one who is the final deciding authority. Separating the roles often results in collecting more information, as the practitioner is less distracted having to deal with multiple responsibilities. If you are the one who is conducting the workshop and you are also taking the notes and you are also controlling the crowd and everything, probably your efforts will be badly distributed. If you can have your different roles defined, like a scribe or a facilitator or whatever, that would help you focus on the main subject and not waste time on many other things. The collaboration point here is, it is not always practical for multiple business analysts to be present in a single facilitated workshop. This is an opportunity for the project manager and the business analyst to team up. The project manager may support the effort by fulfilling one of the roles, such as the scribe, thereby allowing the business analyst to focus on the questions and elicitation of information. Closing tips: make it clear to the participant when the listening session will end. If there is a question and answer portion of the workshop, ensure that the participants know how many more questions can be raised and responded to. This allows for a nice transition to wrap up the meeting and does not leave attendees concerned that their questions will go unanswered. So in good meetings, I have seen that the person who is keeping the time and all, he would ensure that if there is less time left, he will say, last two questions or last question please, and that's how he can control other participants who may like to ask a question, but there is no time in this meeting to ask that question. Maybe you can suggest them to contact you afterwards by email or whatever mechanism, and you send their questions. Follow-up tips: schedule time to thoroughly analyze the information received as soon after the workshop as possible. Information and context may be lost when the meeting notes are not completed soon after the working session. This is a highly important factor that, as you say, well, when I ask someone, why did you not take any notes during the meeting? They say, we know what is discussed and we remember everything. Now, this is utter nonsense. How can you remember everything? You must make points, because there will be something you will forget. You will only remember those things which interest you. Other things you will not remember. So it is better to write them. So not only that, soon after the meeting, you should be issuing the minutes of the meeting as soon as possible. If you delay it, be rest assured that you will forget many points or you will mutilate the points. It will not be the same spirit in which the comment was given. So you will write something in a different tone and the whole purpose will be challenged. Try to provide a summarized results back to the participants in a time frame that the meeting that meets the participants' expectation. Generally, in meetings, what I plan is um, right by the end of the meeting, we keep making the points on computer, and as soon as the meeting is finished, all those points are printed out and distributed among the participants to please review, is it what we discussed today or there is anything missing. So when they agree, right when they're sitting there, we give them the final copy and ask them to sign it. So we circulate that final copy and everybody signs it, and the need for follow-up is finished. And
Sir, I would like,
Giri,
sorry, I would like to I would like to add my experience over here. In such scenario, if you have a scribe, then it's working good for you.
mm-hmm,
But if you don't have a scribe and you yourself is attending the meeting and you are the host of the meeting
mm,
and you are taking a notes on your laptop or meeting minutes, so it gives the impression to the attendees that I am not serious and my attention is already diverted. So
exactly,
previously I was working on it, so it started impacting me badly, so I stopped doing this practice. So you're
of
very
course.
right. If a scribe is there who's taking the notes of the meeting for you, then it's very
Mm.
good. If it's not, the scribe is not there, then we should not do this practice.
We should not. Very good point, because that is a distraction. You are multitasking and you are not focused on the discussion. So the person who is conducting, who is facilitating, who is conducting the whole session, he must be present there in whole body and mind. So normally what I do is when I feel that I may miss out something, I seek permission from the other people that if you allow me, can I record this session? So nowadays you can record everything on your mobiles. So you record that session, and when you are free, done from that meeting, you can listen to it and make your notes later. Do you do that?
Sorry, sir, your voice was distracted. Can you please repeat your last point?
I was saying that I usually do this when I go into such like meeting and I do not have any scribe or anybody, then I record everything what they are saying after their permission. I seek their permission. Can I record the whole session on audio or video? And once it is allowed, then I record everything. Later on, I can go back home and listen to that carefully and make my notes.
Sir, well, I've got a different way of taking the meeting minutes notes.
Mhm.
Once we are sitting, see, you are talking about the workshops. So
Right.
that workshops, it's a day-long workshop, which is almost of 5 hours or 6 hours.
Right.
So eventually you cannot take the notes or anything. You need a scribe for that.
Of
But for our meetings, it's of 2 hours or 3 hours.
mm,
So in that
mm,
during the meeting, all the important points has been noted by the project manager,
right.
and it has been just to get the attention of the audience.
Mm,
What I do, whatever the point I wrote, I immediately start reading it again, and I take the confirmation from the participants
right.
that I've written this point and this point is closed for now.
Right.
And coming back to the office, I used to publish the meeting minutes along with the roles and responsibilities which has been agreed between in the meeting.
Right. Exactly. That is very right. So you can use any method. You can make the notes later. You can make the have the scribe. You can have you can write on the whiteboard and confirm it from the people in the workshop, or even you can use computers online, and maybe somebody can keep writing those points, and you can ask the people and keep adding those points right in front of them, or you can record the whole sessions. Even workshops can be recorded. There is no problem at all. The whole workshops can be recorded. That is a very good thing, because you see, when you listen to a recording later, you learn more. There are many things you are distracted during the workshop, but once you listen to the recording or you consult the notes, you learn more. Oh, this point was discussed. This was the sense in which this was conveyed, and things like that. But I'm not forcing you that you should always be recording. Yes, recording is a way of taking the notes. So in today's environment, project environment, there is more emphasis on collaboration and requirement discovery through team approaches. Unlike traditional meetings of the past, information does not simply flow from participant to facilitator, but can also flow among participants. Stakeholders may require meetings to discover each other from each other before they are able and ready to provide requirements information to the business analyst. So it is not, the main purpose is not the people communicating to you or giving data to you. Basically, when you put these people together, you are providing them an environment in which they can collaborate, they can discuss things amongst themselves and educate also. So this is a great point. I have attended some workshops in which the speaker, the very first thing he does is, he says, if I keep speaking and you keep listening, then this is not a total collaboration. He tells you to take 5 minutes and introduce yourself to as many people as possible. Exchange your visiting cards with as many people as you can in these 5 minutes. So there is a huge crowd of 5,000 people, and everybody is running from here to here. So then there is a prize given for the person who has communicated to the maximum people. Maximum number of cards you have distributed, he is given a kind of a prize or some honor like that. So what you have done is, you have removed the strangeness from the crowd. If they are not friends, they're at least they know each other. They have just talked with each other, maybe a word or two, but they have interacted with each other. So that creates a bond among the clients, among the different stakeholders and participants. So stakeholder may require meetings to discover from each other before they are able to ready to provide requirement information to the business analyst. You see, there are apprehensions. If I don't know anyone in a crowd, then I would be afraid of speaking. Maybe because they may not like me, or because why should I tell this information to them? They may use it against me. So similar kind of concerns are there, and we must remove all these inhibitions. So for that, the strangeness must be removed. And you may use any tool. I just gave you one method, that you exchange cards and talk with each other for initial 5 minutes and then get back to the meeting. That would be a very good introduction, especially when there is a huge crowd. If there is a small crowd, if a few people are there, then we can generally introduce them. But if there are so many people, then probably let them introduce themselves to as many people as they want. Focus.
Sir, in your opinion, which is the rightmost tool for the requirement elicitation?
As I said before, it depends upon the number of people you are eliciting information from. If you are talking only to the executives and there are only few who will give you the information, then you must go for interview. If they do not have enough information and you have to rely on the technical experts with them, go for focus group. If you have got a larger audience to interact with, then go for workshop.
So in our case, we have got maximum 4 to 5 people to whom we should be doing the business requirement elicitation.
Okay. But you see,
if I tell you the number of people, say 4 to 5.
2 to 5. But are they the only stakeholders?
No, basically they are the one who have been doing the work operationally and they know the business.
Okay. So this could be a focus group. 4 to 5 people could be a focus group, or you can, if you know there is no collaborative effort required, you don't want to place them at one place and you want to individually interview them, then go for an interview.
Okay, sir, now my point over here, you gave me two options. One is interview and the other one is focus group. Eventually, focus group seems to be the rightest approach at this point of time, right?
Yes.
But
If they have to sit
but
together and
there is, yes, but there is a risk in this always.
yeah.
That being a vendor, I never know that who is having some conflicts with the other person,
Yes,
and
yes,
those conflicts can flare up during the focus group discussion,
yes.
right?
And
And
people will hide information from each other.
there are no conflicts. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to conduct the focus group meeting, so if there is no conflicts, then I'm going to be benefited a lot because I will be having a complete trail of the requirements and everything in a
Yes.
one session, and all the relevant stakeholders will be agreeing to it and signing off the requirements at their point of time.
Exactly.
On the
Exactly.
other end, if I go towards the interview, then I have to conduct the I have to initiate the interview, then I have to do the follow-up and the other thing as well, right?
Yes, of
So
course.
it is this way. So how is there anything with is the human judgment where I should go and find that the people are having conflicts, so I should go with the interview thing or I should go with the focus group?
Okay. I would say it is more of an art. You must understand, it is more of psychology. You must understand how to be deal with people. If you are dealing with few people, as you said, 2 to 5 people, and you want to elicit information from each one of them separately, and then you must be targeting on the qualitative aspect of the information, because you want to be frank with them, you want to be sitting in privacy with them and discussing whatever you want. Maybe you don't want to discuss these things with everybody, you don't want to disclose this information to everybody. So one to one interview, you will be able to talk more frankly with that person, and if that person holds the information, you will be better able to elicit it from it in a qualitative manner, in a descriptive manner, in a subjective manner. Now, if the audience is increased, say even you put these 2 to 5 people together in a focus group, remember the qualitativeness will be there, but it will be decreased. The quality of discussion will be decreased because of the apprehension present in between them. They may not reveal certain information in presence of others, maybe due to respect or maybe due to some other reason. They want to keep it secret from another person. He might have told you that thing, but he does not want to talk in front of everybody. So the quality is lost. You see, when you increase the quantity, the quality is lost. Now, from focus group, if we go to a workshop, the quantity is too much, but the quality will be greatly reduced. Then we are talking about number. How many people raise hands? How many people are in favor of this point? So what we are doing, we are going for the quantity now. We are going for the voting now. So if you are trying to collect data in a quantitative manner, probably, in a workshop, the quality will be less and the quantity will be more. And the last option is circulating the questionnaire. If there are too many people, you can't even call them in a workshop, then probably you have to send them questionnaires and get the results out of them. So this will be least qualitative and highly quantitative. Why least qualitative? Because you will generally not ask descriptive questions from them, subjective questions from them. If at all, you do want one or two subjective questions, then you will provide limited space. They can't write a thesis there. They can't speak their heart out. They only just write your profession. He will just write one or two lines in his profession, not more than that. Or you will ask him certain questions. The answer is yes or no, or answer is out of one of the many choices. So that way, this is completely quantitative. So in order of priority, top is interview, second number is focus group, third number is workshops, and fourth number is the questionnaires. The interview being the highly qualitative and the questionnaire being the highly quantitative. So it is on a sliding scale from interview to the questionnaire.
Okay, sir, over here, I like to share one experience.
Sure, sure.
Well, we had a project approval in Yemen.
Okay.
So I have to go over there and I have to do the requirement elicitation. Whereas the people who do not know the business, I have to educate them and I have to do the system analysis as well. So
Okay.
finally, the day has come. I have to fly over there. I went over there. My flight was already late for good 1 or 2 hours. So I directly landed on a workshop where almost 25 people were sitting
Mm-hmm.
and they were waiting for me. They've
Okay.
been very kind that I apologized them that I'm late for 2 hours, but they didn't say anything. And they said, let's start the session. So
Okay.
eventually I started the session. I just start showing my presentation and I start talking to the people. So after 2 or 3 slides, I came across that there is a question mark in the face of the people.
Okay.
So I myself was very much surprised that why right at this point of time they are having questions at their faces. I haven't started anything. I have not been discussing anything technical or domain wise or anything else.
Okay.
Out of the blue, I just ask a question that how many of the people work in bank. So all of them raise their hand.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. Then I don't know. I asked one more question, which is a stupid one, but I felt it's a very right one at that point of time. I asked them, how many of the people uh, know English? So
Okay.
literally, I get 4 hands in the air. And after seeing 4 hands in the air, I just again asked, so how do you understand my questions which I've been asking?
Okay.
So one guy who knows English, he told me that I am writing what you have been asking on the MSN Messenger. So everybody is reading that messenger and that is how they are asking you what you have been asking.
Okay.
So at that point of time, I was totally lost that how am I going to communicate with the all the stakeholders and they were the important stakeholders. So they didn't knew English. So at that point of time, I have to act smartly and I just took the support of the technology and
Okay.
I had to offer at that point of time that the people who knew the English, they were just offered me their services that
Mm.
you can tell me in English and we'll translate it in Arabic for you.
Yeah.
But I didn't opt that option and I didn't go with it
Okay.
because one thing which I felt is that by doing so, whatever the information I'm going to transmit to the person A, he is going to lose some information and again he is going to transmit it further. So again the transmission, the information will be lost. So for example, if I have given the information to
Mm-hmm.
the other person, he will accept it 70%, 30% will be lost. And when he will transmit it to the other person, that 30% is again lost.
Right.
So my 100% efforts will be delivered in 30%. So what
Mm.
I did at that point of time, I started using Google Translator. So
Okay.
I write my presentation in English,
Okay.
click the translate, it has been translated to Arabic, and then I ask everyone, do you get it? This with the diagram and everything. So the benefit which I haven't thought of at that point of time was I gave a personal touch to all the stakeholders by doing this activity.
Exactly.
So, and I tell you, for 10 days, I was continuously using Google Translator over there, and I've been talking to the people in Arabic.
Okay.
So this is one we've been talking this requirement facilitation. So this was the one workshop I did over there for requirement elicitation, and this is my experience. I guess um, this is a very good experience for me, which I have gained due to the traveling.
Okay. Yes, of course. You see, these kind of technologies must be used, and they must be used effectively. Back in year 1999, I was in Syria in a conference on Y2K, and it was the conference of Islamic countries. So it was all the Arabic countries there, and only myself from Pakistan, and there was one person from Iran. We were the only two people who did not understand Arabic. So they had a very beautiful arrangement. They had proper, translation system going on. We had, when the Arabic sessions were going on, we were having the headphones, and whatever they were speaking was being translated on the go, and we were able to understand what he is talking about completely. Then they asked us to speak, and when myself and the guy from Iran, we spoke, it was being translated to them. And we did not feel any difference at all. This was back in 1999. Recently, I went to Iran, and I found that Iranians are not very good at English. They are even worse than us. They're highly qualified people, the doctors, PhD doctors, they speak English in a way which is hardly to the level of an average Pakistani. So similarly, once I was delivering a lecture in Belgium, and I did not know that all Goras do not speak English. It was the English session, and I was told that it will be delivered in English, and I was speaking English. And when I finished, they said the only problem they faced was that you speak very fast. I was totally confused. How can I speak so fast? I am not English speaking person. Then I realized that they were also not English speaking, and their English was poorer than mine. They could not understand. I could speak very fast, but they could not understand me. So that is one of the problems. You have to, go with the psyche of the people, and the technique you use, I think it was a very good technique. Google Translator and these tools must be used. I also prepared my presentation for Iran on the Google Translator. I had all my slides translated. Half of the slide was in English, half of the slide was a translation. So both ways it was going on. So you have to take such kind of measures. Right.
Very
Coming
true.
back.
And the way I translated, one thing which I again learned is that they have started arguing on the accent of Arabic. So I just use the Google translator. So
Hmm,
they were offended that this is not the proper Arabic, and this is the way it should be, and this is the way it should be. Then eventually I
hmm,
have to apologize, and I have to say them that I'm using the Google translator,
hmm,
and because over there I've learned that Arabic, Saudi Arabic is different, Yemeni Arabic is different, and the Arabic versions are also different.
yeah, exactly.
So it can also become a defensive
The same is true for Chinese. They have
thing
got
for the people.
for every language for that matter. They have got so many accents. Pashto has so many accents.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree to it. All right, sir. Sir, last thing, that focus group. Yeah, can we stop the focus group because I have to take my family for a wedding.
Sure,
So,
sure.
can we take this this line?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yes.
So we can start from focus group tomorrow.
All right, great. So, this is all right. It's nice.
Thank you, thank
All
you.
right, sir.
Yeah,
So, inshallah, we'll see tomorrow each other at 6 p.m.
yeah, 6 p.m. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Okay, take care. Take care. Bye.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Allah.
you.